All right.
It says that it's live. We shall see. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Big in the USA podcast. I have Ian Talks here from Instagram. Ready
Hello.
to just dig into why Hollywood keeps making crappy movies or why they keep trying to push the agenda behind the crappy movies down our throats, quite literally, and how that's not helping them, their bottom line, or my desire to see anything that they make ever
Right.
again. And how Angel Studios, if you get their app, you can pre-watch things that are coming down the pike to see if other people would also want to see it.
Hmm.
And one or two of them are actually quite good for Christian, slightly whitewashed media. But no, that's also where you get the dry bar comedy too, to where you can like rate comedians. And they're ones that you
Oh,
would normally see.
yeah.
We're talking all like you can pre-watch all the kids shows on there, their comedians, the movies, and truly give
That's good.
feedback to the people who made it. It is
Yeah,
more
that's
like crowdsource funded feedback and money.
hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Dry bar is an interesting thing because you go on dry bar and you automatically assume that it's going to be like good, wholesome, just funny content, and then sometimes you turn it on and you're like, this did not land well. This is not good.
They do have a good variety, even especially with the comedy ones. Even when I judge them, because I do dabble a little bit in local like open mics, because I kid you not, the worst stand up, or it wasn't stand up. The girl literally got up there and was mad that her mother didn't abort her. The type of depression and like I know they say comedy is therapy, but that's pushing it a little bit far.
Yeah.
We can't respond to you to help you. It's an
Right.
open
Yeah.
mic, but to be that angry at the world, that's not comedy.
Mm-mm.
And just try to understand other. Like, it is there is some cultural limitations to comedy,
Yes.
especially like I know there's some jokes I wouldn't be able to tell if I went to the one side of Arlington. Well, on Fort Worth, they'd be great.
Yeah.
But yes, Dry Bar can do that. Um, you said they have a good one on the Duck Dynasty people.
I know who they are. I don't know them well. So
Well, if you go
yeah.
and watch the movie, it's coming out about the father, was his grandpa by now, because right now Willie the son is more active right now. But no, the original Will Robertson, like the
Oh.
grandpa, the one who recently came out that says that he's now senile in the news, but it was his original story.
Huh. Okay.
And they actually did a good job. And I like to accuse a lot of Christian filmmakers of whitewashing everything to where
Yeah.
it's like they don't want to make it unchristian. It's like, no, when the guy was a drunk, they showed him as a drunk. Um, when they had the bar, they showed everything that goes on in a bar. But the same thing for all the good stuff too. They didn't like make anything sacrimonious or just oozy. It didn't feel like your Brady Bunch movie.
Mm-hmm.
They kept it just general truth. It's like, okay, you can make a good movie. I can trust you this one time versus trying to pretend something bad did or didn't happen. It's like, well, bad things have to happen so you can fix them. That's
Yeah.
how you get plot. That's how you get a
Right.
story. If not, why are you wasting my time
Mm-hmm.
when everything's always perfect?
Yeah.
Ay, 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 ay. But yeah, one of the things as far as pushing agendas, which I really hate when they do that. Henry Cavill and The Witcher. See if I can pull this up. Where is it? Now, supposedly, he is a purist when it comes to scripts and following the actual. Is this on there? There we go.
Oh yeah.
We can see that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Because I actually did watch some of the Witcher as a game because they had a real live gamer, and I did see what the heck they were talking about.
Hmm.
And basically, you know how like they're feminizing everything? I think
Oh, that I know.
I think this is what happened with this is that in the story that they were supposed to be telling, it was all about Geralt. Geralt was the hero. He was the morning and what he was everything.
Hmm.
And by the third one, that's when they had Ciri, the girl he was protecting. It switched to a more female centered script, which is not how the story was. Now,
Hmm.
you could say he's being misogynistic, but at the same time, he is such a true believer in only giving the fans what they want, which is we want the best physical representation of the original story. Don't change anything.
Right.
And they were changing it. And the other day on Twitter, I just went off the deep end on it. And to me, it felt like it was the same as if, like, would you replace John Wayne with Natalie Wood? Any of those old movies, all those cowboy movies, The Quiet Man, would she
Right.
be an equal replacement for John Wayne?
Just any, it doesn't even matter. Would you replace a male character with a female character? It doesn't
Just, and
make
again, it's
sense.
always they always make him younger from an old guy. They always do that.
Yeah, it's
I don't know what just drives me nuts. Or what was it? Would you replace Heidi Klum for Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Terminator? She was still young back then. Would you do that?
oh no, absolutely not. It's you gotta yeah, you just gotta keep things the way they are.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, then I mean, I, well, here's the thing that doesn't make sense is in a lot of these movies and TV shows, if you try to replace a character, it doesn't work anyway. I know this was something Bewitched, I think, was one that tried it way back in the day. And I know like my sister was a big fan of Bewitched,
Mhm.
and she's like, yeah, when they replaced Derek, the male
Darren,
lead, yeah, she was like, it's not the same. It's not the same. And so if you're and that's from one white male guy to another white male guy about the
they were
same
both
age. So
vanilla, but
if you can't do that, then what makes you think that race swapping it or sex swapping it is going to make it different?
uh,
It just doesn't make sense.
but yeah, he is moving on to bigger passion projects, and I think it's kind of ironic that they're replacing him with Liam Hemsworth. Now, knowing his history with Miley Cyrus and him being rather amenable to being bossed around by a skinny white chick, is it any surprise that the main director, who is a female, I do have her name in here somewhere. I took notes last night. I'm usually not that prepared. Um, yeah, the Lauren Schmidt Hisrich. I'm hoping I said that right. Supposedly she was the one that had the biggest problem with Henry trying to be a purist with the material. And she really wanted that whole pro woman taking over the world. The man, now that he's done saving everybody, doesn't need to be there anymore.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. The only reason I can say that it's definitely there is that recently, because the games are still being made.
Mhm.
And then the latest version of it is going to be more like 100% all Siri. I
Huh.
mean, yes, she has powers and stuff, but it's like you gonna go Laura Croft with this? Really, just gonna copy Laura Croft? It's like I knew you're
Yeah.
aiming for it, and it took the games to catch up because of the show. And I know Netflix also made another like from the witches side, like not Witcher, but witches that are also in there. A
Mhm.
side story with that, and I can't find that episode anymore because so many people were pissed off. I'm guessing they didn't watch it, and they got Michelle Yao to do it.
Oh boy.
She's not a small, she's not a cheap star, she's worth her money.
Yeah.
So if they even got rid of that, it's like, oh, they realize that the fans are not happy.
Mhm.
So sorry. It's like I know they won't put their money into brainwashing us more efficiently, but it's not working.
Right. Yeah.
Or like, let's see another thing on here. I'm still getting used to the whole screen
Well,
transition.
isn't Henry Cavill the same guy who earlier this year everybody was making such a big deal because he was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing sexy scenes. I'm not gonna do steamy
The
scenes."
last big one he did was in Witcher, and it was like borderline.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you
Huh.
watch the first season of Witcher, no, the second one. It's the second one. Yeah, him and the witch, not Witcher, really get it on.
That's another thing about these movies too. It's not just like a racial agenda they're trying to push. It's also this like everything has to be sexual. And I know like I don't even want to watch anything anymore because everything has some sort of sexual nature to it, or it has to be extremely vulgar or something like that. And it's like I don't want to hear that. I don't want to watch that. I just want to listen to a story. A good story.
Yeah, or one that you're even if you're semi familiar with it, it's not altered so much that it's like you don't recognize it anymore.
Yeah, and it happens so often. It's
Well, it's
no.
kind of like when husband always laughs at me because whenever I want music to help calm me down and to go to sleep at night, I always pick
Mhm.
Christmas music, even in July. But I know all the words to them.
Yeah.
It's familiar.
Yes, familiarity. People love familiarity.
Usually they're slow, they're quiet, and I just go to
Yeah,
sleep. It's fine.
right.
So Silent Night does work as a sleep aid.
Oh, I mean, I try it every December. Maybe I should do it all year.
And this is I don't know what's going on with my voice. This is for Batgirl. They had so much pumping up of it. It says the studio cited numbers of reasons for cancellation, including budget, quality, really, audience reception. They finally care about us. They're
Good.
cutting costs and want to use it as a tax write-off. Good. They want to focus on the real blockbusters, and clearly Batgirl wasn't doing it. Now I saved this link because of this. Is this the face of a Batgirl or a girl who was at a Halloween party, got beat up, and they thought they'd use her in a movie? Or are
So
they
I was
ripping
gonna
off
say,
the Joker?
this woman looks like she's been physically abused. What? What? What?
Yeah, it's because they accidentally promoted it. It's like, are they truly? It's just a knockoff of Joker. It's like, no,
That's
thank you.
horrifying.
Yeah, and just all the comments
You
on
know
it.
it's bad when even Reddit agrees. That's another thing too. Reddit is probably people talk about, oh, Instagram's the worst. No, TikTok's the worst. No, Reddit is the worst. You go on Reddit, there are some truly
They
insane
will slice and
people on
dice.
Reddit.
Yes.
So when you
But
see that Reddit agrees, you know it's really bad.
or is this WB basically can't or can they can't get rid of any of their projects without just pissing away more cash. Or
Yeah.
Tim Gunn basically has to see what works and what doesn't. It's like watching 10 coins being flipped and tallying which one landed on heads and which one landed on tails. And just keep flipping coins to see if your odds are ever in your favor, basically.
Well, we see how this one went. It definitely landed on tails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that poor beaten woman.
Yeah, that's no. Mm-mm.
Let's see, what was the last one? Because one of the last series films, if have you ever seen Bridgerton?
I've seen like bits and pieces of one of those shows that I try to stay away from. I see bits and pieces of it.
I
Just
tried to avoid it, but at the same time, it's like, well, if it's a better version of Hallmark movie, why not? It's the Christmas season, so I did the deep dive on it.
right.
And it did start out as a book series, so there is a very strong purist following. Um, was it Shonda Rhimes is the producer of the series, and like, so I don't usually keep track of people's orientations and whatnot, but
Mhm.
I mean, I did binge watch everything, so I understood what was going on. Let's
Yeah.
see, what was it? I think it's that one. Um, no, that's just generic. Why don't they make good movies? But basically, there was in the third series because they everything so far has been straight or straight adjacent, or there's only one son who went to like orgy parties. Otherwise, it's been very typical romance with the usual tearing apart, bringing back together of peoples and whatnot.
Well, that's good.
But she wanted to change one of the characters who was straight white male into a lesbian black woman.
Okay, yes, I did see that. Yeah, and people were like, "No. No, don't do
Well,
this."
I couldn't get necessarily the evidence on that one because it blew up mostly on Instagram. Like they were all the comments underneath posts by the author herself. Like she's not part of the script writing team per se, but the comments from those people saying like how disappointed they were, how much they wouldn't watch the series,
Right.
um, how they're just being perverse for the sake of being perverse, while also saying, no, we're not gay bashing. We just don't want our story changed. Like if you want to do
Right.
something gay, write all the stories you want, just not this one. Don't change our baby kind of thing.
Right, and that's the thing. The people who are loyal. I mean, I'm a reader. I know all about this. I would want a story that matches the characters in the book. If it says she has olive skin and curly hair, give her olive skin and curly hair. If it says she has white skin and blonde hair, then give her white skin and blonde hair. It's not that hard. We just want to see our characters represented realistically. And again, you want to come up with a new story, you want to create a diverse story, I don't care. I love diversity. I will say that. That's one thing. I love stories with female roles. I love stories with different cultures, different backgrounds. Make it original. Don't force it into something else because then it just doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel real.
Or like they always try to say, like, oh, like bashing creators for being a different whatever, but it's like, Matrix and Terminator, they were written by
Mhm.
the same black woman.
There you go. I mean, that's
Supposedly
great.
one runs into the other one. Supposedly, Terminator is the preset to all the Matrix stuff because the computers do take over.
Yeah.
So no, we're not against the color of the person writing the script. Just
No.
don't make a bad script or pervert it for the sake of perversion's sake. Because if it
Yes.
doesn't add to and subtracts from, don't freaking do it. And we're gonna tell you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no.
I mean, would you want a white person changing Wakanda?
No. Imagine.
No, it's like
But
we were
see, that's the difference here. Imagine if we actually tried that. That's the difference. They would never dare. They would never dare to do that because they know the sort of response they would get. Yet somehow it's okay when you do that to a white character and you race swap them for a black character, an Asian character, a Latino character.
and with Bridgerton, it was be during the Victorian age.
Right. They're not gonna be like she's
Well,
not
they
gonna
could be on
be
the same continent during that time because I don't think cars were made yet or planes, or maybe a train or two, but cross continental travel was not common.
No. Yeah.
Let's see. What was this one? No, let's see. Oh yeah, this is just everyone's getting franchise fatigue.
Oh yeah.
Uh, they're trying to keep. They're trying to not ruin their artistic integrity, but with so many cooks in
It's
the kitchen, I beg to differ.
It's well, yeah, I mean, that's another problem. It's not just not original stories. It's that they want to tell the same story over and over and over again. Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4. Don't they have a 5 coming out soon or something like that? I mean, it's
Well,
like people
you know
have.
how they overdid, like, there's a little kid Barbie movies that are, like, direct to DVD?
Oh, yes. There were like 50 of them.
Well, at this point, that's what I consider them, so it's not really entertainment to me. It's just something you put on for children who are too dumb to know that they're
Well, I
doing
mean,
stuff like that.
I feel like they did the same thing with Marvel. Marvel had the same thing. It was great at the beginning. You had all of these unique storylines, and now it's the same formula over and over and over again. And
Well, that's what
although
they're
that one,
formalizing it.
yeah, and it does still sell somewhat, but it's not in the same numbers that it was 10 years ago when the stories were
Well, at this
original.
point, the only justification I can possibly redeem it with is that we like fight scenes, so it's not the same choreography.
I suppose.
You know, it's like it's a new dance. We get to see how they blow things up in a new way, kind of like with Die
Right.
Hard. You know, the Die Hard movies. What was it? The last one? I'm still on my bucket list to see, but one of those like he jumped out of a helicopter somehow with a car falling from the sky or something.
I have no
Really
idea.
epic looking. It was well. I still say one of my favorite, if you're into violence, um, car pileup scenes was from the Blues Brothers. I mean, yeah, I
Oh,
listen for the music. Yeah, the nun is perfect, kind of scary. Yeah, it's cool that they got the I'm on a mission from God and all the rest of that, but the car pileup scene is why I watch that movie.
hmm. Huh. Okay. I'll have to see that one. I do not know that one.
Oh, it's old. It's I'm pretty sure you could
Oh,
probably watch it with commercials on YouTube. It's that kind of old because Belushi's been
really?
dead. Yeah, yeah, one of them's been dead.
Huh.
Okay, you know the Belushi brothers?
Ooh, maybe.
Yeah, there's John Belushi, who's a blues brother, and then there's Jim Belushi. He's still alive and growing pot, and he's been a fairly busy actor in Hollywood. He usually
Okay.
plays dads lately. He was more of an 80s, 90s movie actor.
Okay.
He did have a
Huh.
sitcom once upon a time, but if you watch his Instagram, mostly he's a pot grower.
Oop. Okay.
No, ever hear of Dan Aykroyd from SNL?
Yes. Yeah.
It was John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd who were the Blues Brothers. It's a really basic plot. It's not a hard script. They came from an orphanage. They're trying to use blues and music to raise money to save such an orphanage, and the nun in there is scary as heck. Not quite Nurse Pratchett, but close.
Yeah.
Like the stuff they do with her. But it's funny. It's what I call like gut funny.
Hmm. Wait. Yeah.
They really tap into that. Otherwise, it's real basic. They do this road trip thing. I said there's the big car pile up because the cops are chasing them. But the music is wonderful.
That's always the best part.
It's true blues with more of a rock tone to it.
Hmm.
And because they're saving this orphanage, the one slogan that always comes out is "We're on a mission from Gad," not God, Gad.
Hmm.
I think the orphanage was like in New Jersey or something.
Of course.
Yeah, really good movie. It's
Hmm.
easy to watch. It's not doesn't make you think too hard. But yes, they saved the orphanage. But it's
Yeah.
just that whole the very short journey that the movie takes you on is really
Hmm.
good. They don't make them like that anymore. Or see what's the next movie that's gonna come out that's gonna have some good action in it, where I'm sure the plot's gonna suck ass. Aquaman. We haven't seen that one yet.
Oh yeah.
Because rumor has it they did sneak in Amber Heard to finish off the movie versus limiting the need for her character after the Johnny Depp court thing.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about her, but
Why are so many people still relevant? Like, why is she still relevant? Why is Meghan Markle still relevant? Why are we still giving these people platforms?
I don't think they're as relevant as we think they are because a lot of it's just clickbait. Like they
Well,
take
but
a
that's the thing.
picture,
It's like, but they do say any publicity is good publicity. So it's
but they're not the ones doing it. It's like the BuzzFeeds or the literally like the fake news. They can just take one picture, reuse it 100 times, do 100 different titles, and we're stupid enough to click on it.
and that practice in journalism should be, as somebody who wants
Not
to get into
journalism.
journalism, that practice should be
No, it's
absolutely
spam.
illegal.
It's not journalism. It's spam. It's never
Oh,
ending.
I know that, but I mean, like the practice, we need. I know we have laws against libel, but like I don't know how they get away with that. How that's not libel? Like it's not
Well, they could claim to
approved.
have a source, so it wouldn't be their information, or they could say we heard it, but they didn't say from where. Um,
I made
as
it
long as
up.
it's source free, or it was assumed that it's kind of like with organic food, like with milk and stuff. Like if you don't want pasteurized milk, as long as you put a sticker on it that says not for human consumption, knowing damn well they're going to consume it,
Right.
you're legally exempt because you told them to not drink it.
Yeah. The caution
Or
hot label.
no. That was because of that lady spilling coffee on her lap. That was because
Oh
of
yeah,
that.
yeah. But
No, the ones from like there's this Middle Eastern lady. I'm not sure from where in the Middle East, but she always has a job and everything. She sells cookies at the local farmers market on Sundays, but on the bottom of every single little plastic, she's good packaging for her cookies. She just does them in her kitchen, made in a non-FDA approved kitchen. So you have to say that in your food.
Yeah.
So that they can't say that they didn't know or whatever. But as long as you claim it, you can get round stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's honestly at this point, I think I'd rather eat that food than the FDA food.
Yeah. Yes. I've been trying to explain all this to my husband of why the eggs from the butcher are nice and orange and the ones from the regular food store are a nice yellow daffodil color.
Yes.
Because the
Ugh.
number of nutrients that are not in them.
I tried to explain it. I didn't realize until the other night because we had we had a pack of marshmallows and somebody emptied them out the other night, and so I was like, okay, well let me look at the back. I didn't realize marshmallows are like one of the worst things. Like
They're pure
people
sugar,
know
yeah.
marshmallows are bad, but you don't think marshmallows are that bad. Like surely like a chocolate cake is going to be worse than a marshmallow. No. Look at the back of a marshmallow. It's bad.
The gums and stuff that they've added to them over the years.
Yeah. It's so I mean that's another video idea I have is just how bad are marshmallows. I mean like the entire ingredients list
A
was
lot of the British people, like they had a couple come over here and they intentionally bought foods that were banned in their countries.
yeah.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's great. Red dye 40, bring on the autism." That's quote. Or
I
yellow
mean
dye number was it number 8, number 7, whatever.
yeah.
Oh, I love this stuff. And they're eating like Doritos.
So it's like why? That's another thing. The marshmallows, they're white, right? They have blue one in them. Why?
Well, yeah, you need to make
It's
it
a
like
white food.
that's how you get hospital white.
I mean, I suppose it's just like who cares about their marshmallows being a cream color versus white?
Because they want it to be unnaturally white. Like they want it that color white, not that color white.
But who really cares? Like the people, I don't know anybody who would look at a cream colored marshmallow and be like, "Oh, it's inferior."
Or those confuses me. Like supposedly, like the Fruit Loops in Britain, they use like natural vegetable juices and stuff to
Well,
dye their stuff.
did you see the video that went viral of the I don't know if it was like a Congress person or something like that, but they were holding up the American Fruit Loops with the
Yeah, I remember
Canadian
seeing
Fruit
that. Yeah,
Loops. Yeah. I mean like that's just when you see it like that, you don't blink twice when you look at it in the store, but then when you see it like that, you're like, okay, something, yeah, this is not
Like, if
right.
we don't care that, I mean, anything with that many colors, I just refuse to eat as principle. But it's like, if they look exactly the same, why would you go to all that extra trouble to add in the chemicals just for us?
Yeah, well, it's cost. It's cost. It's all cost. It all comes down to cost. And I know if there's anybody watching this who's like a fan of me, you're gonna find out right now. I'm not so much like, oh, I stand corporations. Because I know a lot of people might assume that because I do talk about stuff like that. The corporations are just as bad as the policies. It's the combination of the two. We have policies that allow the corporations to make
Well,
these
somewhat to
business
where
decisions.
recently the Supreme Court, this was related to like oil and stuff, but basically they're letting the corporations make their own rules and regulations, basically. Now, hopefully, we
Yeah,
get this crossed over into food where they're not making their own rules to hold themselves accountable to because they are flippity floppity, to say the best.
right. And yeah, it's we can't do that. We can't be doing that. So, yeah.
No. But yeah, hopefully Hollywood can give us a decent storyline. That's why whenever people say, "Oh, this is bad," complain, 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 I say, "I'm writing my own. What are you doing?"
Yeah,
I mean, if I have to document every single psycho that I pick up driving for rideshare, I will.
right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. It's literally everybody has their own personal experience. Somebody can take their own personal experience and make a story out of it. That sometimes the best like books or the best movies are the ones that are based upon a true story.
Well, I've always tried to figure out it's like, what is my style? What do I want to pull from versus just being a hypocrite and criticizing people all the time.
Yeah.
And have you ever heard of something called James Harriet?
Mm, let me
The
see.
British have been redoing his story for years, but no, he wrote books that were based in the 1920s. But he was a vet
I've
in the
never.
Yorkshire Dales. I think you can get it for like one credit on Audible. You can get the whole one of the books. It was like a 5-book series, but this is his entire life as a vet.
Okay.
It's really
Hmm.
interesting, family friendly. He does all the Yorkshire kind of accents and whatnot. I think that's more Scottish, but you get the point. And just having that perspective on life is like, I had a really funny life too. What if I just did the same thing, kind of, as far as where to pull from, change everyone's names? Because I got 5 sisters. I ain't going through that kind of pain and anguish just to tell the truth with different names on it.
Right.
And then just, of course, my own natural sense of humor and just I always ask this of authors, like, did you create the world so that your truth would sit more easily?
Hmm.
And that's basically the line that I'm going with on that, with a few blips from other stuff. Like, yes, I was also greatly influenced by Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah. Right. I was as a
Sorry,
kid.
sorry. I mean, I read the entire series. We had all the books, or even Revenge of the Babysat.
I mean, yeah, I was influenced by that. I was influenced by Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I was influenced by
Mother
I have
actually read
Peanuts.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and normally my mother would never read trash like that, but she actually liked it. It's like, mom's reading trash now, and she's not criticizing it for being trash. It's like, what?
Well, I will say when it started out, it was a little bit better because yes, it was kind of not great, but it was still it had it promoted better, more like, he would have a fight with his friend, but then he would have to make up with his friend, and though the situation might not have been like the best, it still happened. And you don't even get that from stories now. You get like, oh, a fight with a friend, but they never make up because they just want to spite each other all the time. It's like,
I
what?
think that also shows the maturity of the people of our day and age to where, yes, I do agree that every generation has its own flavor, its own isms, its own expectations.
Hmm.
But when it's reflected in our stories of how we treat each other, It's a very true telling. It's like maybe we should fix that. Compassion isn't old fashioned.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's not even that. Like Gen Z is so dramatic. I'm not afraid to say that. Gen Z is so there are some things that Gen Z does that like I agree with. I think
With
that
all that extra media in their life, because I'm still the
yeah.
generation where it slipped in until I was like 10 or 11 versus they were born with it.
Right, right. And so it's like it's just it's like yeah, my generation might be good when it comes to things like, ooh, alcohol control, like maybe they're drinking less, but or watching these sexy movies less. But you just want to turn everything into this big drama scene. You want to I mean, they are desperate for clicks, but even just besides that, in their own personal lives, it's like everything has to be about the drama and the gossip. And it's just like, stop, and I
But
know, like, I'm a very dramatic person in my personality and stuff, but
well, that's
like,
how life is made funny. We know drama is there for funny. They
I
do it as
know, but
breathing. Like, no, that's not how you're supposed to breathe.
some people will turn anything into, oh, my mom made me get up at 7:30 this morning.
That's
Why?
called
Why?
adulting.
Right, right. It's like
Some of us don't
it's
have the mom that's like, "Come on, baby, come on." I would say a lot of this would be fixed if they were all forced to go work on a farm for their own food.
I want to do that so bad.
No, you
I
don't.
know that sounds wild coming from me,
Been
and
there, done that. I mean, I don't.
but
I guess I agree that being a responsible, taking person of this world, that if I had to, yes, I could grow enough food to not die. But I already did the farm life. Even though I look this fat and whatnot, I have lymphedema. I came from the farm. I could run up a hill and keep up with the sheep. I
yeah,
had such thick calluses on my hands from wheelbarrows, pitchforks, snow shovels, and rakes and the like that it took 2 years for the calluses to stop forming on my hands. And that's how long I'd
mm,
not been on the farm for.
hmm.
Been there, done that. I mean, I've weeded more green beans than anyone can shake a stick at. No, 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 no. It would fix a lot of the issues to where if they had to go through that whole life cycle of knowing where stuff comes from, taking care for it, and being responsible for themselves, and going
Yeah,
back to truly going back to nature. At least just
yeah,
get a flavor of it versus World War III happened. The world is destitute. The corporations have finally destroyed everything, and
right. Well,
politicians still
yeah,
think it's irrelevant. Because
I
if
think
we go to that kind of crap, we won't need politicians.
well, yeah, but it's true. But I think beyond that, I think just yes, a return to nature, but I also think in a way it's about self-sufficiency. It's about, making everything for yourself. Like you own a farm, that's your life now. Like that is
It's
what you
your
do with it.
only
And
life.
well, but at least it's like you and I think also because you think about farm life, a lot of people live with their families and stay with their families, and I think that's a thing. We now have a situation where a lot of people, as soon as the kids turn 18, bye, get out of my house,
That
bye.
was a weird mixture. It's like they wanted to say bye, but at the same time, I was the only person that they got to work for free every time they went on vacation.
But and it's like, but when you're on the farm, you work together as a family to make that farm happen.
No, no. The only time we ever worked together was stacking firewood.
Well, but you were all involved in making it happen is what I mean. Like you're
That was like a once a year kind of a thing.
not for
Otherwise, yeah,
you. Okay.
no,
Well,
no, because you're assuming that there's a manufacturing type process to a farm. That only happens for at least for us, was firewood and butchering day.
yeah.
Otherwise, no, it was me on a big bear moving fence with the headlights on late at night by myself in a field. It was me bringing up the sheep alone, feeding them alone, uh, ch- trimming my rabbit's nails alone, stacking hay alone.
Yeah.
Well, we did stack hay maybe once or twice, but that was only one small truck's worth. When I say truck, we're talking like pickup truck, not like the
Mhm.
big truck. Otherwise, not really. A lot of it was like when you're weeding, you're alone.
Yeah.
A lot of you and God time.
Hmm.
A lot of you and God time.
Well, healing of nature when it comes to religion, right?
Mostly me complaining at God.
Oh.
You know how they always say like teenagers are just whiny little brats? As me being a whiny brat to God, basically, because I
Yeah.
matured quickly when I realized how much any mature adult doesn't want to hear that crap. And
Hmm.
fix yourself, and then realign, and it's like find joy in everything, even if you've because when you weed or pick green beans, you're bent over, like in that position
Yeah.
to pick them. If you've walked 2 or 3 miles picking them in that bent over position, when you try and stand up, it doesn't always work. Like, because you're still humped over.
Yep. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh. I don't know. I still think there's some sort of draw about that. I think it's more self-sufficiency in the fact that it's like that well, like I said, it's your life, but it's also like you don't need anything else. I mean, like obviously we have modern conveniences, and people who work on farms obviously want the modern conveniences.
limitation of outside influences is very true. Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's uh, for the people who don't want to work a corporate job, go work on a farm. It's kind of like
If you want to understand the value of team effort when the team isn't there, yes, that's what you will discover.
but
Or because of all the alone time, I had this habit of like talking to myself a little bit.
Mhm.
But then I have a very overactive imagination and it had to go somewhere. And when you're mowing 3 acres with a regular size lawnmower, what else do you
Yeah.
got going on? And so, of course, you see someone, you look like a crazy person, but it's like I was bored out of my mind. I still had an acre and a half to go. And my mom would see me out there doing that. And she's like, why are you doing that? Don't you have real, like, I looked at, I got 5 sisters. I got a big family. It's like, you can always talk to everybody else. It's like, yeah, I've tried that, and my world is better than yours, so no thanks. And that really pissed her off.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. I'm just bored, and y'all are not inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually they finally grew older, but still,
Yeah.
a lot of acres. Like I said, a lot of time yelling at God. Beautiful place. Like I said, self-sustaining. That's probably why I can make whatever the heck I want. But you get older faster. You get tired faster. You're
Really,
like,
I feel like it would keep you young because you're active. You're always I mean, like that's why everybody's always like,
it
go to the
will help
gym,
your
make sure you do
dementia.
your
That's
squats.
the only part of age it will help fight against is dementia.
Hmm.
So at least you'll know why you're bored when you're 90. Well, I
Hmm.
always, how like with the next generation coming up, how semi incompetent, semi self absorbed that they kind of are. Not all of them, just some that I've observed. And my
Mhm.
hope is that if I ever get stuck in a senior care facility with one of these, they're the because supposedly there's more old people than young people by the time I would get to one of those places. That if I got one that was like Jan from the Brady Bunch, who was like weird, creepy, whoever, that I have so much dementia that I can't like yell at them cognitively, tell them what's wrong with them. It's like I don't want to know what you're doing to me. I don't want to have any memory of you while still just living out the rest of my
Yeah.
days.
They do have some of the worst people working at those sort of places. I was about to say no, they probably wouldn't even be able to work there, but no, they do have some of the worst people working at those
Well,
places,
it's just as time
unfortunately.
goes on, it's just like it's not getting better. I know it'll be worse, but if I don't know it's bad, sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy.
Or, like I said, be one of those highly cognitive survivalists who know exactly why everything is wrong and bad and why you're on the side of the road like Miss Bixby getting your dandelions so you can can them for the winter. And yes, she's done that. I mean, it's bad enough to eat fresh dandelion greens anyway, but to can them? To her, it was a delicacy. To us, it was like, that's goat food.
Yeah.
Seriously. Or like, I had this grandmother, she would visit us once a year, and we always mixed our own grains, like whole grains, like whole wheats, whole barleys, and
Mhm.
whatever else, whole oats for the sheep, or even whole corn and whatnot. She would go out there with like a half-gallon pitcher, grab it up, come inside, boil it, make a gruel out of it, put some salt on it, and try to feed it to us. It's like, I'll stick with regular oatmeal. Like, at least with the was it the Irish rolled oats? They don't
Yeah.
take nearly as long to cook.
Yes. Yeah. Or is it steel cut? I think it might be steel something, yeah.
Both of those are better than what she got in the barn.
Uh,
It's like, no, I'd rather grow the food to feed the animals and just eat the meat at this point.
yeah. Well, what about the there was a trend a couple months ago where people are eating dirt cookies. Did you see that one?
Was it actual dirt?
Yeah, it was like a clay, and they would make like they would take this clay. And it's apparently a was it Haitian? I think it was Haitian because it was the same time where they're eating the dogs, they're
Or
eating the cats, and at the same time there were these Haitian mud cookies that were coming out, and people would make them. You literally take like clay and
was this
water,
like one of those
mix it
joke
together.
things? Like Jerry Clara always told a joke about how there's a tree in the New Jersey region called a star gum tree. It has this weird ball like seed thing that comes out of it. And the joke was that the southern people would bring them up to the northern people and try to sell them as porcupine eggs.
I know what
Is it
those
like
things
a
are.
porcupine egg?
I'm
Or is it like a
huh.
cow pie?
Yeah. Well, I know as a little kid, I used to hear gum tree, and I was like, "Ooh," and I used to think that you could open it up and eat it. It's like a piece of gum inside.
I'm not
So
sure
that's
the
where
gum
it comes
part.
from.
I mean, other than it, well, they I know they have rubber trees. They grow them like in
Yes.
Malaysia or something. Gum might be sap related, possibly. Otherwise, I'm not sure where the gum part necessarily comes in with that. But yeah, they have porcupine eggs.
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't know, when they start out, they're green and they're quite sappy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they turn like brown, blackish, and they're a pain in the
Hmm.
ass to clean up in the fall.
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever people say like cookie or gum or pie, is like, it's like they say it's organic. It's like, well, yes, or cow pies. What's the point?
Yeah. Mm.
Or like, if you let the cow pies dry out, a lot of the settlers used to burn them for fuel. Kind of like the Irish would dig up coal and burn that.
I mean, reuse, reduce, recycle.
Yeah, I still like Joel Salatin's version so much better.
Hmm.
After the cows go through a field, 2 days later, when you let all the bugs lay their eggs in the manure and whatnot, because they're still in patties, they're still lumped up, they're not spread or anything. The
Mm-hmm.
chickens go through, they pick out all the bug eggs, they spread all the manure. And if you're familiar with chicken manure, that stuff is like, it'll make your grass look like you're in Ireland. It's the greenest, most neon, most healthy grown anything that you could dream of.
Hmm.
And so, and then of course, when it comes cows come through again, it's like super nutritious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just breaks everything up, and it, that's how you get good nutrition for eggs.
Huh.
All the bug larvae and the grasses, high protein. That's the only way I want to eat grass is via eggs and
Okay.
chicken.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
My
Interesting.
parents were doing that for a while. Like we didn't have the cows until after I left.
Hmm.
But they still had the chicken in the grazing boxes
Okay.
because
Huh.
we still had hawks and stuff we had to protect them from, and the coyotes,
Yeah.
and keep them inside the electric fence. If you want some fun, go get zapped.
I've actually been zapped by not a fence, but a bug zapper before. It had like a
No,
hole in
no, no,
it.
no, no. We had marine batteries and live wire.
Oh boy.
And then you stick them on. I don't remember what it was called, but I called it the. Well, you have it so it does this like this is exactly what it sounds like, but there's a space in between it so that, like, if a bear or coyote, because if they make a full connection through their nose and then the pads of their feet through the ground, they have time to pull off of it. Because if it's solid, they can't pull off.
Hmm.
They literally will cook from the electric full currents if they have a grounding system. Science at work. Otherwise, if you just have that flick, it gives you a second to it's just like zzz.
Yeah.
If you weren't careful, they could either if you had a headache, it would either get rid of it or give you one. If you accidentally hit it with the back of your head, because it would stick out like 6 inches from the post. That'd be
Yeah.
the live wire that went around the edge of the field. Because if you have good design system, you have your post on the outside, you have your wire, and wherever you put the intersection of mesh metal fencing, you could hook
Hmm.
it up from either end.
Okay. Huh.
And just that's how you get the animals to move so that they eat all the grass, not just their favorites.
Okay. Huh. Interesting.
But yeah, that stuff was heavy.
I can imagine.
Well, it was one of the, okay. We're both, I would say, on the shorter side of life. I'm 5 foot. What are you?
I'm like 5'8", so yeah, less than average for a man.
Either way. And of course, when you're short and round, they think that you're weak and stupid. Two things that I loved blowing out of the water.
Yeah.
Especially when I was catching. There's a guy, he was easily 6 foot. His only goal in life was to be a gamer, like, and just be
Yeah.
high all the time. He had no goals in life. And somehow his best friend, who was a shift lead, hard worker, great guy, don't know how they became roommates. Um, he was just mouthing off and whatnot, and I was cashiering. He was bagging groceries, which work was always beneath him. I'm like, this is air conditioned work. This is the easiest stuff I've ever done. I mean, to make
Right.
it more easy would be give me a seat. Otherwise, do you see any mountains? You don't see any. I'm not dying of heat stroke. I'm not dehydrated.
Right.
I'm not trying to fight the acorns on the mountain road.
Mhm.
Trying to run up it because acorns are such a pain when you're trying to run. So he was just going off, and all of a sudden, this 50-pound bag of dog food comes down the conveyor belt. I deadbolted at his chest. All of a sudden, he didn't want to mess with me anymore.
Yeah. I
Like, yeah, all those
mean
hay bales are paying off.
I mean, even myself, yeah, I get that sort of stuff too. Well, it's not even necessarily. I don't think it's because I'm short and fat or whatever. Receding hairline, that's the other one I get. You're balding. Yeah, I know that. Thanks for pointing out the obvious. But
Like,
it's
oh,
like,
just look at him straight. He's like, really? I couldn't tell. I don't own a mirror.
yeah, I'm so thanks for letting me know. No, it's just I mean, my and I know you can study for the SAT, but you can only do so much for it. My SAT was 1330, my IQ is 134. What do you want me to do about that? Like, I have the receipts. I'm not going to argue with you because I'm also smart enough to know that it's not going to change anything and you're going to say
Yeah,
I
never
made it
argue
up
with
or something
stupid
like
people.
that. And it's like I don't say that to brag that I had a 1330 on the SAT and a 134 IQ. I mean, like, it's not am I the smartest person in the world? Of course not, but when the average IQ is 100, I mean, I'd like to think.
I have no clue what my IQ is. I don't even remember where I got on the SAT, and any help I got for it was not helpful. So
Yeah. But I mean, even that academically, it doesn't matter. It's your ability to think critically. That's what's really most important. And if you
People
have
do
no,
that.
it's just like if
Out of
you,
fashion, it's like not, it's in vogue.
I mean, like, but it's like you could have an IQ of 145, but if you can't read a headline and tell me what you think for yourself, or read an article and tell me what you think without repeating the article, then it doesn't matter.
My parents had a slightly different twist on that. Like they knew a guy, high IQ, super smart, kind of calculator genius person, right? Supposedly he was going to school to be a doctor, but he had problems being able to tie his own shoelaces. As far
Mm-hmm.
as the motor skill goes, it's like, do you really want that person giving you advice on your body?
Right.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'll just dive whatever this is. I'm good.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can't tie your own shoelaces and still think at the same time, but can you
Well,
walk, talk, and chew gum?
I mean, then again, they did say that Einstein had a problem crossing the street because he was so in his head all the time that he had to have bodyguards to guide him across the street.
That's a personal control issue, and I can prove that one. Like I know how to be in my head too, but at the same time, you snap out of it. You gotta do what's in front of you. Like you have to get like stop the baby from drowning in the bathwater. You got to stop the dog from being an idiot. You got to answer the phone. You got like real life going on. I mean, I know we would all love to be stuck in fairyland all the time in my own thoughts, but at the same time, what was it like in Harry Potter with that mirror to where you could die staring at yourself?
Oh yeah, the Mirror of
You
Erised.
just yeah,
Yeah.
you can just die, dehydrate to death because you're so busy staring at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
No, you snap out of it. You serve others, especially when they're screaming for "Where's dinner?" Whenever you make it. That's why I love being older and married. He cooks for himself, and I mean, yeah, he still loves it when I cook for him, but the stuff he makes, like he will smoke a brisket for 14 hours. Nothing I make takes 14 hours.
Yeah, like
Like the
I'm
last
getting
thing I
a
think I
hamburger
made for him,
helper.
fry an egg. I think I fry him eggs. If it's super special,
Not even
bacon.
a hamburger helper.
No, I mean I will take 45 minutes to bake a pan of bacon because that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Or even later, like I found this recipe that I really want to try. Basically, you just take one of his 5 million barbecue dry rub spice mixes. You take the piece of bacon, you roll it in it, you twist it so that when it cooks like a stick.
Huh.
And that's the great thing I'll be making for him later. I got two different thicknesses of bacon to see which one works better.
Yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, it's just humans.
Yeah.
Well, we've been at it for an hour. We've taken every single rabbit trail currently possible. Not to be more. Kind of like mathematicians that know how many different planes I could go on, but I'm happy with the ones we found.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We should do this again sometime.
Yes.
Because if you ever get around to reading any kind of books, read Tim Conway's or get the book on tape because he narrates it himself. Tim
Mhm.
Conway's like biography. And he makes
Hmm.
this one point in it to where whenever you have any type of comedy or live show of any kind, that you should always have somebody to bounce off of because then it's
Yeah.
just funnier still versus just one person just blabbing at you.
Yes.
And why he could never they did try to make him a lead in some TV shows, but it never worked because unless there's somebody to bounce off of, it's never any good
Yeah.
for some reason. Or even with Joe Rogan, the way he describes it to where if you don't have someone else like validating the emotion you're getting from the same experience, you just won't feel it the same.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean,
So I've
even
enjoyed
yeah,
that.
as a content creator, I think this is true as well. I mean, even because I do a lot of stuff solo, but when I do it solo, you almost have to the way you make it work is you can't think of it as looking into a camera. You have to think of it as talking to somebody in a conversation. That's the only
Yeah.
way you can make content creation
Or
work.
conviction of like you're saving their life with this information, even if it's the most obscene, whatever, even humorous. It's just you have to like save them from whatever and truly conveying it and
Yeah.
giving it that extra emotion almost.
Yes.
But then you're just overemphasizing and I still like the more cavalier versions. Or the ones that are like they just put a hat on to pretend to be a different person.
Those are fun. Yeah.
At least that's how I hear them in my head. Well, you know how people I always say like you can hear God in your head or whatever. Mine
Mhm.
always sounded like Sophia Petrillo.
I don't know. Ah.
Golden Girls, the mother.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dorothy's mother and Golden Girls. You know, it's like everyone was it I can't think of a quote from her. It's like, all I feel is afterglow. Yeah. Just watch the Golden Girls, look for Sophia. That's the voice I always hear inside my head whenever I get the going backs and forths.
I don't know. Have I ever thought about that? What is it kind of sometimes I guess the way I would say it is the way I know the difference between God and myself is God sounds like a deep voice, myself sounds like myself. I don't know how else like that's just what it sounds like to me. I don't know that there's ever been like a person that it sounds
That
like.
or God must be from Queens.
I don't know. Um yeah.
No, I think it also has to do with like even though like yes, I'm from Jersey originally, we were all taught to speak with that mid-Atlantic accent. And
Mhm.
that if you talked like you was from Jersey, it meant like you were portraying yourself as white trash. No, seriously, like if you watch the James Lipton interview with John Travolta, his mother did the same thing, which is more ironic because when he had his first breakout role, it was as Danny Zuko, where he had to talk like this for the role. Then he had to go back to his mid Atlantic forced accent because his mother didn't want you sounding like he was, you know, from the wrong side of town or something. But with this accent, or you know, the more New Yorkie one, there's a
Mhm.
lot of judgment, a lot of like almost being condescending. It's the attitude that's associated with it, and that's everyone in my family. It's like they got that Jersey attitude, even though they don't talk like they're from Jersey.
Yeah.
They still have the "well, what's wrong with you" kind of attitude.
It's like the what do people it's like the New York hello. Hello. F you.
And it's like, yeah, it's like, or they always say like, "How you doing?" But you gotta say it like you're accusing them of having slept with your sister. And all you did was say, "How you doing?"
Right. Yeah.
That's East Coast for you. So I think that's why I always hear God is Sophia Petrillo. It's like, you know what's wrong with you, so now fix it. So why you complaining at me already?
Yeah. I feel like yeah. I'm such a like okay. I'm from Maryland, so I know the attitude well, but born in California, raised in Pennsylvania for
Mm.
some time, then raised here for the rest of the time. But I feel like my attitude is definitely more California. Like I sound like California. But I'm not Valley Girl, California. I know
No,
some
you don't
people
use the
have
word
struggled.
like nearly enough. Like you know, like Valley Girl.
I for me, it's usually actually or that's usually what I do is sometimes I think of things or that's usually the phrase I use is or actually something like that genuinely but
No,
I'm English nerd, so I try to replace. I've been working to replace the word like for so long.
Well, the only thing my mom had to break me to habit was Inga. Like I was taught to read by Mrs. Faciolo, had a little bit of a Jersey accent, not too bad. But I didn't know that like if you were walking, talking, I didn't know there was no A at the end. My mother did it to break me of that.
Yeah.
So it's walking, talking, enunciate.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, as soon as I saw the nanny, I'm like, ay vey. People keep getting famous from all this stuff. What am I missing here?
Yeah.
Like, if only I talked like white trash, I too could go do a sitcom.
It's so true. It's just people love people with accents. Doesn't matter where it's from.
I know
Australian,
that it's
British.
like, why are they being removed? Why are they being heralded? Because I picked up this kid once. He was obsessed with the Sopranos, and it hadn't been on the air for quite some time. So clearly, he must have Netflix and chilled the entire thing at least twice. I was like, why is he so into it? Like, but when he found out I was from New Jersey, because wasn't pretending to be deaf at the time, it's like, why? Like, just because I was from Jersey, it's like he acted like I would know the mafia, not personally. I mean, my parents did buy their first house from a very low end member of the mafia, but they bought the house and then they left. We didn't send Christmas cards. No. We still got questions about what my Uncle David does, but that's just him being him. It's not very often you have to go body hunting for relatives, but anyway. And it's just this, it's like, why is it some reach to the past or something? It's like, why are they just so into
Right.
that? Because even the mafia is not what it used to be, size or participation.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, I just deadpanned it to kids, like, dude, you want to find some of the original mafia? Look at politics. They all got elected, or they
Or
joined.
that's another thing. There was a video going around recently of like there's all of these people in politics that are connected to each other somehow, and it was very interesting.
Donors and crime.
Oh yeah, and it's like, well, but even then, some of them are like connected by bloodline. Like this person's cousin, and then he was
Like
his.
Nancy Pelosi is the aunt to Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, stuff like
Both
that.
of Dick Cheney's daughters got elected into Congress at one time or another.
So crazy.
Somehow Hunter Biden is best friends with, I want to say it was a Kerry son,
It was,
like John
but
Kerry. I think
yeah,
it was. If
it's
not,
so,
he was, and they're all part of those illegal business dealings and
all
whatnot. Yeah.
connected. Yes, yeah,
So you
it's
follow the
crazy.
crime from the mafia. Like, no one notices that Pelosi is a Italian last name, and the most of the mafia in Jersey was Italian. I mean, yeah, there's an Irish mafia, but
I didn't even think of that. I didn't even. Yeah, it's just like you hear Nancy Pelosi so much. I've never even thought about. Yeah, her last name is
is Italian. Or the
Italian.
Cuomo's, the former governor of New York, and his
Yeah,
brother, who's in news. You think maybe those Italians could have a potential history in hiding bodies in cement?
that's so
Yeah.
wild. Well, you learn something new every day.
Well, I'd break the kid's heart and tell him, it's like, yeah, they all went into politics.
Yeah,
They're still criminal. They're just, now you're overlords more than ever.
yeah. Now we've
It's
given the
legal.
criminal charge. It's crazy.
And the only way they got the last one was, what was Cuomo? Was it sexual assault?
Oh, I have no clue.
I don't think it was based on policy, unless I don't think he got nailed for all those senior care facilities in COVID and all those
Oh yeah, that
unfortunate
was.
deaths. I don't think it was that. I think it was he might have touched somebody inappropriately, and he's old school, so he didn't think it was bad.
Just crazy stuff.
Yeah. So it's like if you want to find them, that's how you do it.
Yep.
But yeah. So wrapping up, it's been way too much fun
Yeah, it really has.
talking about the news and past of everything, and encourage everyone write your own story. Who knows? Maybe you too can inspire the world in ways that clearly the modern corporations are not, and they're philandering and
Really.
trying to push stuff down our throats that doesn't need to be pushed. But
Yeah.
I'm going to be ending this in 5, 4, 3,